I think community life on campus, we need to do a better job of branding, and we need to do a better job of creating a campus life where people, even commuters, want to come back to the campus on weekends. I'd like to, one of the things I asked President Clinton, I said, I want to get you on campus. That would be a great thing for the campus. I brought the First Lady as a member of Congress to the Durgan Hall in the South Campus, and so I want to do things that create energy. I have a lot of energy. I think there's a lot of talent. So I want to work as hard as I can to just make the opportunities for students greater. I want the students to be the customers, so that we treat students as we would customers. And that's the way I see it working. We also need to be more entrepreneurial in terms of revenue. I mean, we need to increase revenue in any way that we can, and that may mean naming rights to a building. That may mean we have a beautiful new garage right next to the Spinners, the Lasher Park. I would hope that we could make some money on that during the Spinners game. So we have to think entrepreneurial, I think.
Okay. Michelle, did you have a question?
Yeah. Based on that energy that you're talking about student involvement and the hockey team, student activities, this year, myself and many other student leaders, we collaborated with the Dean of Students Office, athletics, and had multiple student leader dinners to discuss what can we do to make this university better. And one of the things that was emphasized the most was the need to boost involvement in student activities and school pride. Can you just kind of go further on how you plan on being involved with that and putting that energy into it?
Let's start with hockey. I think the hockey experience, when somebody gets to the arena, I've talked to the music department about getting the music department even more involved, like maybe a concert before the game. There's music during the game. We need to establish a club. We need to do different nights. We could probably do an engineering night. We could probably do a political science.
TV show?
TV shows.
I did a school newspaper night. We did do a school newspaper night, and my staff attended.
The other thing that we need to do is we need to coordinate the newspaper, access, and the radio station. We need to utilize that, and technology. There ought to be a way. I'll give you an example of what I mean. I would love to, the first week of when we go back in September, I would love to ask every student electronically 10 questions about what they think, and then maybe have 70 or 80% actually respond, give me the information, and then I would email out what the results were and what I thought of the results. I think that would be a fabulous way to get dialogue going. I would do shows like this on a regular basis. I would meet on both campuses, all the campuses with students. I work out in the rec center. I'm going to continue to do that. I won't, it won't be a problem if students come up and ask me or complain about things. So, I'll be more accessible. But I think all of these things to get branding. I mentioned a little bit. When I go to let's say that when I go to an athletic event and see people wearing shirts that say BC or
BC's
Harvard or BU or something like that, one of the things I think we need to do is we had to brand our product, and we should wear. I'm going to wear a golf shirt if I'm at a hockey game that says UMass Lowell. So we should think about all those things, find a way to brand it, and increase the profile and have some pride. One of the other thing I'd like to do, bring graduates back from the campus that are really doing well. That's another way that you sort of can increase their pride. Have events on campus that bring, that we still have a lot of people who commute. So we need to bring people back to the campus on weekends. We have facilities like the Lasher Park and the arena that I think we could utilize more than we do.
Connor?
I read on your website that one of the issues you addressed is the affordability of college for middle-class families. Now that you're the head of the university, what do you think you can do to improve the affordability for the middle-class families and provide the children with the opportunities that they deserve?
Well, we're going to try to raise money to provide more scholarships, for one thing. It's interesting because sometimes students will say, well, why don't we cut tuition? Well, why don't we cut fees? Well, I don't want to cut the quality of education either, and it's a balancing part. Right. So I intend to be a vocal advocate for investing more money in higher education. specifically to make the argument to public officials in Massachusetts that we have to do better in terms of investment in higher education. If we can raise more money for scholarships and have more work study, that will make it more easily affordable for people to attend college. But you know, if you look at the private colleges, and the costs are just incredible how they're increasing, even in the public sector. If you add our fees, we've been increasing, but public higher education is still a very good deal. Let me give you a couple of statistics. 80% of the UMass graduates temporarily stay in Massachusetts. 60% stay here permanently, and they work here. We're an innovation economy, and we have to make sure, it's our job at the University of Massachusetts to make sure we have a highly literate workforce in technology. And so I don't want to lose anything in terms of the quality of education either. So therein lies the battle. How do you provide accessible, affordable education that's high quality? And I think more scholarships, more state assistance, going out and raising more money from foundations. The federal government needs to do a better job providing scholarships and financial assistance to people that want to go to college. And over the last 6 years, during the course of this administration, they've actually cut Pell Grants, cut student loans. That's exactly the opposite thing of what we ought to be doing. So, those are a few of the thoughts that I have relative to the accessibility of education, the affordability. That's the hallmark of what we do. I mean, one of the reasons I have a passion for this institution is, if I didn't have the opportunity as one of 7 children growing up in Lowell to attend UMass Lowell, I never would have gotten an opportunity to go on and become a member of Congress or a lawyer or the other things that I've done, or a chancellor for that matter. But I want to keep the standards and quality high as well.
Did you have one final question?
I do.
Michelle?
Another challenge, not just on this campus, but nationwide. In light of this year's college tragedies, both UMass Lowell and nationwide, Virginia Tech, what are your plans to continue campus safety at UMass Lowell?
Well, right after the tragedy at Virginia Tech, the next weekend I came home from Washington, I met with the police chief here and the Lowell police chief. I spoke to the head of the faculty union this week on the phone about trying to find $50,000 to match $50,000 they have to try to think about security systems to set up that would warn students. But let me be specific. What I want to do is have a practice run in July and then another one in the fall of what we would do if a similar type tragedy happened on campus. We literally need to do a dry run of that. We need to know, and I used to be a first assistant DA, so I know a little bit about how law enforcement works. There's a group called NEMLEC who basically are first responders. We didn't need to know who would be in charge, what they would do, what would the DA's office role be, what would the state police role be. One of the things that's interesting about Virginia Tech is you had 2 homicides that apparently somebody thought maybe it was suicide. Maybe they probably should have been a lockdown right away, and it didn't happen. So you need to make sure that something is in place. I spoke to Dr. Carol McDonough this week as well, and she said that at Tufts they're instituting a system where there's a siren on campus where specifically they would know that this is an emergency and they should either seek cover or get into a safe location. So I'm interested in looking at that as well. But this is going to be a priority, and it should be a priority in every campus in America. You can't prevent any conceivable problem, but there are other interesting issues too. What are the rights of privacy vis-a-vis the right of the security and the police to keep us safe? So there are some challenges, I think, that we face here. If you look at the background of this individual, the fact that he was able to buy a gun and all that ammunition is just incredible. So we have to look at all of these issues, and this is a serious matter. It's not just a matter of keeping us safe. It's a matter of being prepared for what else could happen.